Hello, I'm the Short Gal, and this is my show. The name is a metaphor, as I see myself at a disadvantage at 5'2". But the show is more than that. Each episode will be called a challenge, and the hope is to find insights and advice for that particular predicament. Episode 002, Challenge. I have an accent. Hello, this is a Short Gal coming to you from the comfort of my home office. If you listen to intro or episode 001, you could probably tell that English is not my first language. I may not necessarily have the thickest accent, but nonetheless, I know I don't sound like I come from the West, Midwest, or South of the United States. Or New York. I certainly don't sound like I come from New York. I'd like to give you some historical perspective about me. I was born in Lima, Peru, and I did not grow up in a bilingual household. My parents had the forethought to make sure my siblings and I attended a school that taught English as a second language. So my English learning began early. Sometime during my teenage years, my parents thought that languages came naturally to me, and they got me enrolled in an after-school language institute. This was a British Peruvian institute, so all learning was based on British English structure. Finally, after high school, I got some certifications. I got a certification through a university in Britain. In college, I taught basic English as a second language. At around 17, 18 is when I began learning French at the Alliance Française. I moved to the US when I was 23, some years after graduation from college. Even if you have years of learning and certifications, nothing substitutes living in a country that speaks the language. There is always a period of adjustment to the way people speak, the idioms, the slang, the regionalisms. And of course, this is when you realize that you sound different. You know it because of how many times people ask you to repeat yourself. You know it when people correct your pronunciation. You know when people rephrase you. Most people don't mind, but I do. It might be because of my love for learning languages. So the challenge that I've put on my shoulders is that I want to completely blend in. I don't want people asking me to repeat myself or people asking me where I am from. I don't want to be singled out. I live for the times when people ask me if I'm from here. Yes, that's a big win. For the most part, I have good grammar as a result of my years of training, but I still have more to do to sound like an average American. About 4 years ago, I attended an event for a professional women's association where Arianna Huffington was present. If you don't know who Arianna Huffington is, she's the founder of the Huffington Post. And if you still don't know, then you should Google her. During the presentation, she said that we could email her, and she gave us her email address. And of course, I'm not naive, and I know she probably has a pool of people who answer her emails. So I went ahead and emailed her anyway. I asked her this question. Do you think that having an accent has hindered your career and your growth as a professional? The response that I got, probably from one of her representatives, was that I needed to write an article for the Huffington Post. Awesome! I never did it. The reason is because I didn't have enough knowledge. I had to do a little bit more research. So I did a little bit more research, but I never sent in the article. So I did a little bit of research, and some of the perceptions about people with foreign or international languages are, one is there's dissonance. It's hard for them to pay attention. It's hard for them to understand because they sort of tune out. Number two, they think you're slow. It's like the me, Jane, you, Tarzan kind of deal. So they think that you're slightly unintelligent. There are some people that when they pick up your accent, they start talking very slowly to you because they associate that with you not being able to understand them clearly, which is two completely different things. And there's also that nationalistic feeling. You are the foreigner, you are the other. This is the minority, and I know it's a small minority, but in some cases there is discrimination. I've also found out that there is a threshold, an age to eliminate an accent, and that is 12 years of age. If you move to a certain place before age 12, then the chances of having a new perfect accent are almost guaranteed. not the same thing if you moved after 12. Of course, it depends on the person. There are those with great natural ability for languages, so they are the exception. The accent is not the only aspect that makes you sound international, quote unquote. It also has to do with how you phrase things. I have been told that my speech tends to sound a little too formal. I also invert sentences, and frankly, sometimes I can't remember certain words, so I start describing things. Good news to me is that I think my accent sounds better and better each year. I've talked to people who did not think I sounded foreign at all, and that always gives me hope. I've taken some steps to improve my accent, and I hope these are helpful to you if you actually have an accent. Number 1, I imitate. I have a good ear, and I imitate sounds, cadences, inflections. When I hear someone speak clearly, harmoniously, where phrases flow and people pay attention, I imitate. I prepare. Number 2. Knowing my limitations, and if I know that I'm going to be speaking to a group, I try to practice and prepare. This includes writing some of my phrasing and just practicing certain words that are hard for me to say. Number 3, I critique my own performance and try to improve. Number 4, I find opportunities to consciously overpronounce. I make sure my phrases flow. I know I stutter, and I know that I correct myself real time, and those are 2 habits I've tried to break. I joined the Toastmasters group at work, but I had to leave it because of my workload. I tried looking for a speech accent reduction coach, but I have not been successful. Lastly, I think this is a matter of personal preference. No, I do not judge if you have a foreign accent, because I also have it, and because my family members have it too. If you have a foreign accent, that makes me want to know more about you. So all I can do at this point is just to improve myself. I know it matters to me. It matters because I'm a communicator. It matters because I'm in a very competitive environment. And practice makes perfect. And while I know that I will never sound completely as if I were born here and had been raised in a family that only spoke English, I know that I can get to a point where very few people will ask where I am from. So that was my challenge, and those were some tips that I tried to work on to improve my accent and to improve the way I speak English. I know that speaking the language proficiently is a great asset. I also know that knowing 3 languages is an even bigger asset. Take all your God-given talents, take them to the highest level possible. The fact that you came here in your 20s, like me, or in your 30s or 40s or 50s, doesn't mean that you can't improve. Just train yourself and make an effort. I know you can do it. And for those of you who do not have an accent, I urge you to just be patient. Please don't think that those who don't speak the way you do are unintelligent. Just be patient with them. You do have an advantage. You speak more than 1 language. So that's really all I want to say today. So if you like this episode, please leave me a comment. Let's talk about this. Let's have some dialogue. Let me know your experiences. I'd love to hear from you. This was episode 002, and I look forward to sharing more thoughts with you next time. Bye.